I'm Christianic. Today on CYInterview, we welcome Marilyn Macron. She is a retired attorney, classical piano teacher, who will be coming on to speak with us about a great cause, the Palm Beach Symphony. Marilyn, thanks so much for joining us today on CYInterview. It's great to have you back. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. And also joining us is CYInterview sponsor, the founder of Epic Financial Strategies, LLC, Mr. Rob Gill. Rob, it's always great to have you on CYInterview. How are you today, sir?
Chris, thank you so much. Happy Trajectory Tuesday. Glad to be here. Marilyn, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Trajectory Tuesday. I like that, Rob. So
Thanks.
To begin with, Marilyn, why don't you tell us about what
that
you're
is good.
doing? Yeah, it was good. So moving forward, Marilyn, why don't you tell us what you're doing and what exactly led you to it? Go ahead.
Okay. I've always been fascinated and loved classical piano, and I was diagnosed with mesothelioma and from asbestos exposure, and so I have a shelf life. So what I'm going to do, and what I've already taken steps to do, is I've spoken to the Palm Beach Chamber Symphony, of which I'm on the Ladies Guild, and my daughter and I we're going to be having a Marilyn and Marlena Macron piano composition scholarship, because many times when people are playing classical piano and they work so hard, they're still playing a lot of the old war horses, which we're very grateful for that. But back when you had Liszt and Schumann and Bruckner and Berlioz, they weren't playing other people's works. They'd kill you if you suggested it. They were playing their own works. So I want to do what I can to get exposure for creativity for new works. So I'm putting that, and I spoke to the Palm Beach Symphony, and they're very excited about it, and that's what I'm working on right now.
Wow, awesome.
And so before we throw it to Rob, just Marilyn, where did your passion come from to learn piano, start teaching students, all those kinds of things?
Bugs Bunny, all the classical. Excuse me, I cough a little bit. The classical Bugs Bunny cartoons, Kill the Wabbit, Kill the Wabbit, although I'm not a big Wagner fan, but, the Barber of Seville and all that. Bugs Bunny was my first introduction to, especially when he does Liszt. Bugs Bunny kills me because he actually pulls out the gun and he shoots the guy for coughing. So I wouldn't be able to attend that concert. But it was Bugs Bunny.
Rob, what is your take on this? Obviously, Marilyn is trying to make a difference in the arts, music, and classical music. What is your take on this as someone who also uses his business and his life to make a difference as well?
Yeah. First of all, Marilyn, that's my mom's name, just so you know. So I don't come across too many Marilyns, so it's always a special connect. When I saw what your name was, I was even more excited, energetic, and the challenge that you're going through, which I think, and I don't know what you're going through, but I think it's created an undeniable why, that you're looking to accelerate time, turn decades into days is what I'm feeling right now. Yeah. And I think that truly is, for anyone that's watching this, maybe my thought is to do that and to elevate as a person in the game of life, maybe not having to go through what you're going through right now is a shining example of how to create that acceleration. But that's what's present in my head right now, as you're looking to make that difference. And I think that's incredible. And, I love when I hear stories about why certain things happen and why you like the symphony and it ties back to Bugs Bunny. Chris, I got to tell on myself right now, there was a time I rented an apartment in Bayonne, New Jersey, and there was a piano there. And I never played piano in my life. And there was a woman, I was in my 20s, and she came to visit me at my house and said, "Oh, do you play the piano?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm a classic pianist." Meanwhile, I've never played it in my life. And she's like, "Well, can you play me something?" I was like, I hurt my hand. I'm on injury right now. And that's what I was thinking of, that because I haven't really heard the word classic pianist, and this had to be 20 years ago, right? So pianist. So I'm not to reduce what it was, but it just brought me back to a time in my life that I knew Jay Bilstein for the first time. It was around that time. And he was my first trainer, my first mentor, my first coach in business. And as I understand it, there's a connection with you and him that goes way back to Queens.
Yes. NYU.
Yeah,
We
NYU.
went-
Yep. And, I'm honored to be here sharing this microphone with you right now, and what you're looking to do, and the change that you're looking to create, and the awareness and everything else that's tied to this, I think is awesome. And if you could have it your way on your shelf that you discussed, what does that look like for you when it's all said and done?
Well, I'd like to do perhaps $10,000 scholarship a year to give out for composition. And I think $1,000 of it, of 9,000 should go for any music school the student wants, and 1,000 should go to them for fun money, just because they did it.
Yes.
You know. So I think it's very important that they be able to go to any school that they want to.
Yeah.
So it's still in the nascent stages. I just had lunch with the education committee of the Palm Beach Symphony at the Palm Beach Yacht Club the other day, and they were very excited about it. And we're working out the fine tuning, because we'd like to have it live too. I mean, I imagine people will submit their original compositions via computer, but sometimes the one that wins is not even the best.
Yes.
This way they can get exposure, or maybe the third place becomes the success. Not that we're not all success. Not that we're all not successes here, but you know what I mean.
I do. Did you play music growing up? Is this something that?
No, I didn't.
What's the connective tissue?
I have 3 daughters, and I started them at 5, 4, and 3, because the 3-year-old wanted to do something the other were doing, and I was 36 years old. And at that age, you can't send children to piano lessons and say, go study. So I went to each and every lesson with these kids.
Wow.
And then I studied with them each and every day. And then eventually I picked it up, and I was like, well, I don't want to play that. I want to play this, because my sense of classicals, I always like the dark classical. I like Ravel or Prokofiev. I don't give me a Strauss waltz. So I've been taking lessons myself privately.
Amazing.
The first one for over 20 years. First one was a very strict teacher from Austria. I don't think you could get better. I believe she taught at the Conservatory of Austria when she lived there, in Irmgard Upelnix. And another teacher that I'm still working with now is Diane Kirkpatrick, and she's in Brooklyn, and we do Skype lessons, and she's wonderful.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I would never stop taking lessons. I think they're both integral.
Were you able to play in front of a large audience at certain times? Yeah. What was that like?
You just have to blank yourself out. You just have to totally concentrate.
Yeah.
You can't see anybody else, because I used to also act.
Really?
I was an actress, and that's way easier.
Is it really?
Because you can get yourself into the character. You can feel what you're saying. You can feel what you're doing. But with piano, I mean, even if your fingers get slippery, a piano slip could be earth shattering. You know what I mean? The pressure is very, very, very hard.
Yeah. And when for folks that are watching and become a classic, at that level, I'm assuming the commitment on a daily basis is no different than if somebody wants to be a great in a sport or academic.
You have to do
they want to do ballet.
It must be a lot of hours.
And what would you say for you? I'm sure there's many, right? But I always like to think in, 1, 2, or 3s, whatever's easier for you. What would you say the biggest takeaway on that journey has been for you?
Which journey? The piano journey?
Yeah. Because you said you've been doing it.
The sheer enjoyment and excitement.
Yep.
Yeah, I started later. The sheer excitement. Because also there's a lot of reading. I'm sorry at the coughing.
That's okay.
There's a lot of reading involved, because you have to. It opens the whole world. If you read about the compositions, and you read about the composer's life, and you also read about how most composition a lot of it is theory, and then you could piece the pieces of the puzzles together as to how symphonies are composed. I mean, one of the pieces I love to play is Danse Macabre, the Liszt transcription of the Saint-Saëns orchestral. And if you look at it, it's really a lot of different theory or a lot of different exercises all put together that sound amazing.
Yeah.
So it enriches you, or it increases the interest if you know about the composer, you know what he was going through. That's one of the things that I do with my students is once in a while we'll go, I have a book that I read from or have them read composers and what the neighbors thought. You know, and they're like shocked to find out that Beethoven, you know, slapped food on a waiter's plate, or that Prokofiev was evicted from his building for playing the same barbaric chord, something like 352 times in a row. You know, so it makes it all more interesting.
Amazing. Chris,
so it
back
expanded
to
my
you.
world.
Yeah, no, amazing. And thank you for sharing your heart. I really appreciate it. Chris, back to you, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rob. Marilyn, why don't you tell people just in general what the Palm Beach Symphony is if they don't know about it?
Oh, it's a wonderful organization. The CFO is a David McClymont. It originally started in people's homes as salons, and then it expanded and expanded. And now, under David's work, we're now in the Kravis Center. And they also have a wonderful outreach where they do things like the Holly Jolly, and they donate instruments to underprivileged children. That is huge for them. That's what they mainly do. Mine is not privilege or not, because I wouldn't want to lose a Mendelssohn because, you know, his parents made too much money or something. But you do need what they do, because if you don't have the instrument, you're not going to play. So they do a wonderful, wonderful outreach all over Palm Beach County as to providing instruments.
Palm Beach is known as one of the wealthiest places in the United States of America. How does the location of where this symphony is located really get impacted by the community, and how much outreach is there?
There's a fair amount of outreach. It's getting to the level of, I would say, it's approaching the level of Carnegie Hall. They do have very incredible virtuosos that are coming down now. The orchestras are amazing. The orchestras. It's really catching up. It's going to be a major hub if it's not already.
How big is the musical group at the symphony, would you say?
I can't tell, but I know on a picture it's about this big. You know what I mean? I'm sorry.
Absolutely, no problem. So moving forward on that thought, so your point with the scholarship, just to get back to this, is that you hope that you inspire somebody to come along and create, compose, make new music. So tell me about that.
Yeah, because I don't want to keep going to hear the same things over and over and over again. I mean, I love Beethoven's Fifth, don't get me wrong, but I like Stephen Howe. I'm inspired by polymath Stephen Howe. He's an amazing virtuoso, and I saw him perform at the Carnegie Hall Virtuoso series. And not only did he perform two pieces that we know, but he also performed one of his compositions, something like Luminas Notero or something like that. And it was inspired, piano solo. It was inspired by him being awake 4 a.m. in the morning in Manhattan. And it had this really eerie kind of a feel about it. And it really made you feel like you were alone 4 a.m. in the morning in Manhattan, awake. And that's when I thought you really have to keep creating. It was the most exciting piece on his program.
What do you think makes a good, whether you're a classical piano teacher or a teacher teaching a different kind of instrument, what do you think makes a great teacher?
What I've been told is my passion, and you have to be nice to the students, and I think if the student doesn't like what they're doing, they're not going to like it.
Yep.
So you have to like your students, and they have to like the music. Otherwise, you're just torturing both. And if you do have passion, it is contagious. But there are some students that, if they don't have it, that passion, not everybody's created equal. Everybody's created different. They could be something else amazing, and I'm not amazing in everything. I'm not even amazing in this, but I'm okay. But it's finding out whose passion this is.
Rob, any thoughts as we're moving along here?
Yeah, listen, Marilyn's talking about passion, and I think that without passion, without energy, nothing happens. We could be we could be smart, we could read books, but we can't execute without passion. There's no execution without passion. There's no execution without energy. I find it interesting that just the journey on how you look back and you start connecting the dots, and it was her children that she brought to this, and she fell in love with it during that process. My question to you, Marilyn, when did you move from New York down to Florida? How long ago was that?
5 minutes before COVID.
No.
It was, yes, it was
Wow.
fortuitous.
Oh my goodness.
My kid, it was just circumstances. I got divorced. My children were all grown up, and I moved down here.
So when you move down there, COVID happens, but you're just doing the symphony stuff on your own now? Like, is
Yes.
your kids?
I met a woman. Well, I joined the Chamber Music Society, and then I met a lovely woman. She's the mayor of Palm Beach. Her name is Arlette Gordon, and I love her, love her, love her. And she introduced me to the Palm Beach Symphony, and she was instrumental in having me on the Ladies Guild. And she introduced me to all that is cultural in Palm Beach. And I owe her a big hug of thanks.
And now, were you connecting dots back to New York when you were down here and you were on this journey? Like, what did that?
No.
Where do your daughters live? What is
my
all
daughters
that?
live all over, but I had a client that lived in Jupiter, and she said that after my divorce, come down to Jupiter and see if you like it. Yeah, and I came down to Jupiter, and I fell in love with Palm Beach.
Amazing.
So
it is beautiful. Yeah, it is beautiful down there. So for the scholarship,
incredible.
for the scholarship, how are they going to decide who gets it? Like, what is the process?
That's what I'm working on with the education committee.
Okay.
That's what we're working on right now.
Got it. And when someone gets a scholarship, what does that mean? They get $10,000.
They're going to get $10,000, and then they can use it towards their whatever school they want.
So you don't choose the school. You're not choosing the school. You're just giving the money to the kid and wherever they're going. That's awesome. And how many of these a year do you want to give out? I know
only
you said
one. I'm not as big a philanthropist as some of my friends down here. But one a year.
So your trust, I'm assuming,
it's going to be in the trust. The trust will pay it out. I'm bequeathing a certain amount to the Palm Beach Symphony. And then it will be up to David and all of them to invest it and see how they would like to keep it going. Yes. If it's possible to keep it going, and if they would like to keep it going.
Yes.
But they better keep it going at least as long as I'm here. If I'm here.
What do you want to be known as? How many kids would you like to impact? And if they get a $10,000 scholarship, is there a story about you that goes along with that scholarship?
I don't know. I just want people to be happy. I mean, the last time I was on this program was for my little free libraries. After Hurricane Sandy, all the libraries in Rockaway were destroyed. So I put up 2 little free libraries. One, the Patti Smith Free Library, and the other one was the Kids Rock-A-Book Library, because it was called Rockaway Beach. And there were kids that were looking at the library, and then one of them, it was little plaques. One of them just opened it and said, "Thank you, Marilyn Macron," like this. And that just really made my heart happy.
Yeah.
So that's all I care. That's really what makes me happy.
Amazing. Chris, I thank you for this opportunity. I think that any way I can help, I'd love to be able to help out, even spreading the word to my community and the touch I have on social media. I would be more than happy to do that.
Thank you.
We'll definitely connect you guys for sure. Marilyn, why don't you just tell me this? I mean, you've had so many different chapters and great journeys in your life and all those kinds of things. So, this journey right now with the Palm Beach Symphony and music in general, like, what does it make you feel every day?
Well, it makes me feel very happy because I also like to practice piano. Even my brain can be in a vice, and even if I'm just playing the hand exercises, my brain's no longer in a vice. It relaxes me.
It's amazing.
I
love powers. I love rituals. And I love peak performance. And that sounds like it's a brain shift. And can you expound on that just a little bit more? Like, if you're having a tough day and then all of a sudden, does it just create clarity? Does it create? It
creates clarity because you're only concentrating on this one thing. Nothing else is allowed in your brain for the hour or 2 or 3 that you're there.
Yeah.
And then there's a sense of accomplishment, or hopefully there's a sense of accomplishment. Some days there's no sense of accomplishment, that you've got it. And then you have to keep up with it because you could not do well for 3 days. And then the 4th day, oh my God, it all came together.
Yeah.
And there's that feeling.
So if you're struggling, you play. If you're struggling on a certain thing and then you get into what you're doing, can you revisit that when you're done playing? And that's amazing.
Yeah, what I do is I call them fractures, and I read that in a book somewhere. Playing piano for pleasure. It was Charles something, and he said to circle. They're called piano fractures. Circle it and just work that fracture. Just work that fracture. I guess it's what Prokofiev was doing with that same barbaric chord, and then eventually that fracture becomes stronger than the whole piece, and you go through it effortless.
So is there like a frequency that, average people like myself, when it comes to this specifically, don't understand, that taps into like brain waves in a way that brings a higher frequency?
Yeah, it's definitely this. I was reading a lot about it in the brain. I mean, there's a great book by Daniel Levitin. This is Your Brain on Music. Which is hilarious too. He was a sound engineer, because certain neurons, I mean, why does everybody go crazy to sleep with Mick Jagger or Jim Morrison or anything like that? There are certain brain waves that musicians can have like a shamanistic effect.
Amazing.
And it is a brain thing,
Yep. Because they're not that attractive, right? So, or maybe they are, but the music itself.
That music affects them so much that it makes you sort of insane.
Amazing.
Well, they say when you're happy, dopamine is released in your brain, and I guess dopamine, you become a bit of a dope. I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with dopamine. I love dopamine.
I love dopamine. Bring it on. Bring it on.
I want as much dopamine as I can get, with integrity, of course, and intentionality. Chris, if you got some dopamine, let me know. I'll take it.
Always happy to assist. Marilyn, anything you want to add in closing about the scholarship, or anything we didn't cover today?
No, I just want to thank you both for having me. I really enjoy my time on. I love all of your interviews, and thank you for everything.
Yeah.
You're very most welcome. So for retired attorney, classical piano teacher Marilyn Macron, and CYInterview sponsor, the founder of Epic Financial Strategies, Rob Gill. This is Chris Yimmick for CYInterview. Thank you so both very much for being on CYInterview today.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching today's CYInterview segment from Las Vegas. Please hit the like button and please hit the subscribe button to be updated on all future CYInterview content from Las Vegas and beyond.